Suspended Gargadon, you target, like, if you're up against an opponent that doesn't have creatures, you can be the one to supply the creatures, and then you would, you know. The funny thing is in those matchups where they don't have creatures anyway, where the Demonic Dread didn't have a target, the Lingering Souls is just fine. I mean, who was it that wrote an article, like, if you're in black-white in Modern, maybe even in Legacy, it's definitely a card to consider because it's so much value. Now you need to recognize that these are doing different things. For example, these are in a different pile in my opinion. Even though they're the same mana cost, they're doing different things. This is trying to set up. This is trying to go for the kill. That's a lot of Thirst for Knowledge. It might be correct to cut one and then run another win condition. A second March, a Tezzeret. It's tough to say. I like Agent of Bolus just fine. Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus I like just fine in this list. Well, he's not great. Seeker's okay. Seeker is okay. I feel like March is just better, though. I feel like March is just better. Yeah, let's play one more match and see if the Lingering Souls is more correct. I mean, just like with Living End, one of the reasons why it's not seeing as much play, even though it's a very powerful deck, guys, is because public enemy number one is Remand. There's quite a few decks trying to play Remand right now. Not trying, they're playing it successfully. And that's a knock against Cascade decks. So in that regard, we have a very similar sideboard to Living End, which is the 3 of Ricochet Trap. Because you really can't afford to get remanded. You can't. So you have to go off with another red mana floating. Another access to another red mana. And yeah, another thing you could do is you could run the Simian Spirit Guides. I kind of like building this deck more with control elements. Like, the Thirst for Knowledge goes really well with the Lingering Souls already. If there's nothing else you'd rather discard, you can always discard a Lingering Soul. So that already like extra Gargadons or restore balances. Like, there's a lot of things you can discard. Or extra border posts. Let's try it. Yeah, this is cute. So we'll get to see the Demonic Dread, Lingering Souls in action with the Gargadon. Excellent. Now, the only problem with this hand, obviously, is the lack of border posts. That is a problem. I am well aware that is a problem with this hand, but we can't. You can't not keep this. Wish I had a Rift Bolt. Actually, there's a couple problems with this hand. We'll talk about it in a moment. I'm just trying to figure out my line. I think it's Suspend Balance. The best I can do, one, I need a black source for both the Lingering Soul flashbacks and the Demonic Dread. But since I had the Gargadon, it's okay to commit the Lingering Souls to the board. Interesting. Won't rain me? Alright, response. That counters the damage we were about to take. Land destruction deck, huh? Okay. Now we're off of red. I mean, is he just going to try to blow up my land every turn? Like, maybe I'm supposed to just... I have an idea. We'll play the fetch. You know what's nice? I can change the mana base up now that I've cut the... I don't need the second island anymore now that I've cut the counterfluxes. I actually like that a lot, and I can add one more black fetch. Wreak Havoc. Okay. Alright. We're playing Gruul Land Destruction deck. Interesting. Okay. I'm not gonna crack this until I'm absolutely sure. Oh, I was supposed to sacrifice the Gargadon, duh. I always forget that it's not just lands. Sometimes you're also gonna sacrifice your border posts. That was one of the situations where I was supposed to. Okay. We'll get the hang of this deck, we'll get the hang of it. I mean, he's not really doing all that much over there. Is not doing all that much. This is one of those weird games where the suspended restore balance happens. That's something more often that'll happen for Living End than us because it's a much shorter suspend. I mean, the restore balance suspend is long. It's 6. It's 6. Whereas Living End has a shorter. Although you could argue that the suspend cost on Living End is much higher. So actually, they might happen about a similar speed. Pull up my white source. I actually don't think I'm supposed to exile this to the Gargadon, though, because the restore balance is on 3, and the Gargadon's on 5, and I have a lot of permanents that I'll want to sacrifice before this goes off. I think I'm supposed to just eat this, just let it happen. Because you really need to time the Gargadon just right. Hopefully you guys have noticed that I'm trying to stack my stuff correctly, which is, that's why I'm clicking the Gargadon first. Oops, I just messed it up there. You want the restore balance to resolve, obviously, before... We want that to happen before the Gargadon. Gargadon. I don't know what he's trying to do over there. It's just weird. Mono Stone Rain deck. Yeah, I'm sure it works against some opponents. Not really us. Yeah, after the restore balance, I may have messed up by playing out the Lingering Souls. It may have been incorrect. Maybe I was just supposed to sit back. Get it for me. Moon Bust? Okay. I don't know how he thinks this is going to turn out. So let's stack these correctly this time. So I'm going to click the Gargadon. Top 8 at 3 using land destruction. But was it like this, Agoria? Is it like this? Did it look like this? No, Villager, I'm not sacking on purpose. I want them to be timed in a certain way. Villager, there's literally... So, what I'm trying to do... I don't want the Gargadon to happen before the balance. I want the balance to happen first. So that's why I'm not sacrificing to the Gargadon. Because if the Gargadon you want to happen after balance. You don't want it to happen before balance, and maybe that's something I didn't... That's probably... Villager, that's probably something I didn't explain very well about the deck earlier. You want this to happen after this. So if I sacrifice permanents, I speed up the Gargadon to where it happens before the balance, or on the same turn as the balance. Well, it's okay if it happens the same turn as the balance, as long as I stack the triggers correctly, I suppose. So the question is, what do I want to leave him with? Roiling Terrain was a good win con. Okay, so let's stack them properly. So the last counter on the restore balance is happening. I think I'm okay with leaving him with a Birds of Paradise. So I think I'm just fine. I think I'm just fine sacrificing the island to the Gargadon and a spirit to the Gargadon. I'm just thinking about this. Like, you sacrifice the land so that he loses all his lands. Because the restore balance is happening before the Gargadon trigger, I'm okay doing this as well. I think I'm doing this correctly. I hope I'm doing this correctly. Okay, now we cast the balance. Okay. And now I have a Gargadon. And I get to keep a Lingering Soul. Do you see why I did it this way, Villager? I'm not trying to call you out. It can be pretty complicated. But as you can see, I've got 10 power on board because I did it this way. Alright. Got there. So he has creatures, he has at least birds. I don't know if I want the actual Shriek Maw, but I don't know anything else about his deck. He's main decking Artifact Destruction. I don't really like the March. Let's switch the March into a Kronos. That's about all I want. I mean, I can't really justify the other stuff because I don't really know. I mean, he's like mono land destruction thing. See, I don't really know what I want. I think this is fine. I mean, we were interacting with him. Anger might be stronger than the Lingering Souls. It'll make my combo less consistent, but we've already confirmed that he has creatures in his deck, so you could trim down on Lingerings and run the Angers if you want to get angry. If you want to get angry. When you destroy the land destroyer's lands. You know what the real daggers of that Yelix is? I didn't make him. He had to sacrifice them himself. That's what balance reads. He has to be the one to sacrifice, right? They sacrifice. Yep. He had to destroy his own lands. I think you keep this. It's got a Rift Bolt, it's got a couple Shriek Maws. Actually, it might be more correct because I don't have the turn 1 mountain. Yeah, I don't.